Good morning. It is Wednesday, and that means it's time for This Week in Geek. I'm your host, Paul.
Hi, this is Aaron.
That's right. That's a whole new voice here on the GeekPod Network. Hopefully you guys will give them a big, warm welcome, as you've done for us, which means you'll hear nothing because our audience does not talk back to us. Anyway, Aaron, why don't you explain to the audience what we're doing here and what the whole plan for this brand new show is?
Fantastic. Thanks, Paul. Mainly what we're going to be focusing on is talking about the new stuff that's out there for both our plastic cracks, such as our Marvel Legends, our Star Wars Black Series, what's left of the DC line that is going to be slowly fizzling out. Also about the new stuff in comics, more importantly, the stuff that touches close home to both Paul and I, and what might be a great pickup for you guys today.
To put it succinctly.
Yeah.
See, I would have taken 10 minutes to do that, but you've got this stuff figured out.
Well, you did prep me to, for everyone that doesn't know, Paul is a professional, so he did kind of prep me before we went on air. So
well, they've listened to my previous shows. Professional is not what they would call that. But let's jump right into what I like to call the pull list. This is where we're going to discuss new releases for comic books, including single issues, collections, and any news that comes across the board.
Cool.
So you were just looking over the list, and what are you seeing that looks like it's going to be noteworthy for comics today?
Well, couple really exciting things that are coming about. Of course, everyone is talking Absolute Carnage. Absolute Carnage has kind of enveloped the Marvel universe, and everyone loves the symbiote. Everyone loves Venom, and seeing the history that we've seen with Venom throughout all the years and the different iterations that symbiote has taken, being split up and whatnot, is really awesome to see what they've brought it back and put it to paper. The coolest thing last week with the Absolute Symbiote, where they went and visited the symbiote, and it was from like the 1980s, and what happened with Peter Parker when he first got it, and then it took over this wasn't older at the time, but this guy, and kind of bonded with him, and then we flash forward to modern day, and Carnage is essentially hunting this guy who had no idea that he had a part of the symbiote within him. And that's the neat thing, is that they're focusing on all the bondings that the symbiote has done over the years. So that is really front and foremost. Most specifically, you're going to have Carnage and Ghost Rider going at it this week, which is, that's going to be pretty neat.
Yeah, and that's coming in what Symbiote of Vengeance #1, right?
Yes, correct.
Now, is this a multiple issue thing, or is that going to be a one shot? Do we know?
So it looks like it's going to be another 4-parter. So they're, I'm assuming that they're going to go in, introduce it, go through it, kind of along the same lines as the Absolute Carnage Deadpool. And that'll, kind of, I'm transitioning over to that because it's really neat that Deadpool actually had 5 different mergings at one point. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. 5 different, symbiotes have bonded with him over the years, and so Carnage, really wants to, for all intents and purposes, pull his spine out.
Yeah, explain that to me with all this is going on, because this sounds pretty fucking gruesome.
It really is. Seeing a person run around with a spine and then a dead body there is kind of, it's like, whoa, holy moly, Marvel. But essentially, whenever the symbiote bonds with its host, it leaves a bit of itself in its inherent DNA. And so what Carnage is doing is Carnage is trying to get all the pieces in the Marvel Universe together and then be as powerful to overpowerful Null, who is the symbiote god. So that's essentially what his plan is, and we know over the many issues of Marvel with Venom, with Spider-Man, the symbiotes have bonded with so many. You have Wolverine. You name it. At some point, almost every Marvel character, whether for a quick second or not, has bonded with a symbiote. So they have that piece in there. So it really the way Marvel's doing it, going through all the the different comics and touching base on that is kind of neat, because you really are being thrown back into where you and I were both in our 20s collecting
Right.
these comics. And Spider-Man 300, 301, you have the absolute Carnage, from which it went through all the Spider-Man comics way back
Maximum
when.
Carnage.
Maximum Carnage, excuse me. And so it's really neat for them to revisit that. And Venom has not been hotter. It is, and everything that has to do with Venom is just going to go. And I'm gonna say this right now to all our listeners. I foresee each of these symbiotes at some point getting their own comic. If not a one shot, but if we already have Scream that kind of has one right now. So they just have to touch on the other ones. And these were people that just got bonded, and so those personalities are what makes a difference. So it really is kind of exciting.
I can't wait to see how this plays out. I mean, I'm not reading it, so I'm getting all my information from you on this one. Because, there's just so many books I can pick up. Especially now that Miss Madison has a bigger pull list than I do. So.
She's learning well from the master.
Oh, yeah. Are there any more of the Absolute Carnage stuff that you want to go over before we move on to some of the other?
That's pretty much it. It's been a really good read. I definitely advise if picking it up or just while you're at your local comic shop, take a gander at it and see. The art has been really fantastic across the board. Stories have not been wanting by any means. They've done multiple covers, like with everything. Marvel has all those variants out there. Don't hunt the variants. Just grab the book, look at it, and it really. It is a good read, and you don't necessarily have to get all the offshoots of the AC or the Absolute Carnage, add-ons that the comics will show. You can just go with Absolute Carnage, and the story is pretty straightforward. So you can read that by itself, and I believe they're on issue number 2 at this point. So
now all the rest of the stuff, it just enhances the story, but you don't need it. They're all probably going to be just ones that, like you said, Carnage is going after the separate.
Exactly
entities.
Correct. Yeah.
And when did they decide that this lives in your spine, like the leftovers?
So it's kind of new to me, and I don't know that they've actually ever really focused on it, but they brought this whole thing to light with this run here. I may be completely off my rocker, and they may have brought it up at some point, but I really cannot remember any time that we've had a situation, whether it's from the Fantastic Four when they helped Peter Parker get the symbiote off of him over the years, and going with Eddie Brock and Spider-Man going together and him looking for help. I don't know that they've ever focused on that there was a remnant left over.
Right. No, I think this is a new concept.
I do believe so too. So it is cool, because it's kind of like it's left its fingerprint or its mark on you, and so it brings a lot of the MCU into forefront that might not have been there before.
I like that. I like that they're pulling deep, because like you said, the symbiote Spider-Man offshoot was from a one-off story from back in the 80s originally, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So it definitely is going to be it's a great read. But other than that, I'd say the other one that I've kind of been looking at is going to be King Thor. That looks pretty darn awesome. Essentially we have Loki up to his craziness again. You have the Allfather, who's just been battling, and he just got done the Butcher of Gods battle, and now the Necro Sword. That blade is back, and so it's in the hands of Loki, and they're gonna have an epic cataclysmic showdown. So it's gonna be interesting.
The Necro Sword.
So essentially, the Necro Sword was from the Butcher of Gods, and the wielder of the all black Necro Sword, as if they say it. Somehow Loki has gotten it, and he's just being Loki, and it's we focus a lot on Thor, and with all the, you know, we're looking at the movie, the Jane Foster and all that stuff, but a lot, when the Thor movies came out, you know, the All-Father, you know, he was there, and I don't think they've ever really showed his power.
No.
I mean, he's the All-Father. I mean, he is the top of the top, and, you know, we saw him against the ice people, where he brought his army down and he battled there, you know, in the first Thor, but we really never have seen anything other than him just kicking ass, excuse my language, but, you know, I mean, you know, he just, I mean, he's got power, and
right.
He just really has never showed it. So I think they're kind of trying to go to that, to show this guy's, he's got power. I mean, even though, you know, Asgard's gone and all this stuff has crumbled, and, you know, they're dealing with all this stuff, you know, he still is the All-Father, and you don't mess with the All-Father, plain and simple.
Right,
so,
yeah. He's like the god of gods.
Yeah,
then, so.
like top guy.
And so how is Thor the king then, if Odin is still around?
So, you know, it's going to be... how do I say this? The power has transcended down to him, and he has it, and Odin is still there. Odin has given his power, and it's not like a multiple personality, if you will. It's like he's part of him, so he's handed it down. So
okay.
He's kind of given it to him.
But he's still physically...
He's a physical embodiment, but he's passed along his essence, if you will.
He's retired, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. You know,
okay.
Down in Florida.
That works.
Mojito, legs up.
I get it. Frankly, I'm jealous. I'm not going to lie. And you wanted to touch on a book called Once and Future. Yeah,
so Once and Future, wow. Holy moly, Boom Studios. You guys... You guys, you know, brought out a really cool book. The interesting thing is that it was a shadow. It was a sleeper. Not a lot of comic shops knew about it. You know, it showed up on the monthly order thing, and like anything, you know, you it's a gamble. You know, you get it. You gamble on a number one. It may be a slam dunk. You know, home run, touchdown. It may be the biggest, you know, wash ever. So a lot of shops, you know, didn't order heavy on it. So Boom actually stepped up, and the day of the release, they said, okay, well, we're going to FOC, and that's what the shops are able to do, is they're able to, you know, go in and order books to get delivered on the next shipment. So shops had the opportunity to get another printing of that. That was so popular that they are now on a 4th, 5th, and 6th printing.
Wow.
And so, I mean, I went through, I read it, you know, it's very Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter-esque, you know, very almost King Arthur-esque, if you will.
That's what I first thought from the title.
Yeah. It seemed, and I read it. It was a good read. The art didn't blow me away, but I mean, a lot of people are looking for that escape, and they're not looking for the spines being ripped out, or the shoot 'em ups, or the, you know, the softcore, you know, porn stuff that, you know, some of the books have out there. So they're looking for that.
I've been missing a whole subset of books. Where were those when you were telling me to get onto my pull list here? What the hell?
Yeah, I figured I'd keep you away from those. I didn't want to get, you know, in trouble at home. So, but yeah, it's interesting. So again, you know, they're on the 4th, 5th, and 6th. Most shops that I know people that go to have been able to confirm orders of at least the 4th or 5th printing. If you're going to try for a 1st or 2nd, you're going to spend money, and it's going to be on eBay or whatnot.
Right, yeah,
so,
that's probably it.
But again,
do you have a range on what those are going for on eBay right now?
Oh, well, if you were to get a first printing, they did a couple different covers, but if you got, I believe there was an A and B, and then there was a retailer incentive. So if you're able to get the retailer incentive, which is essentially like you order so many and you get this, you know, that was upwards of $140.
Wow, and this has only been out a few weeks, right?
It literally just came out last week. Was it last week or was it the week before?
It had to be the week before.
It must have been the week before, yeah. So it's only been out for a short period of time for them to... Well, it had to have been, because they're on like a 4th, 5th, and 6th printing. So
insane.
It's and that's the other thing that I want to touch on, is a lot of people, they go on these websites and they look at these, speculator websites. And I'm just throwing this out there to all of our audience. A lot of these speculators, they'll get a book, and they may get behind a book because a publisher says, hey, get behind this book and promote it. And you may hear about it, you may go look at it, and you may not get super interested in it, but yet someone somewhere is saying, oh, pick it up, But that's $4.99 that you're spending that, it may be a hit or miss. So
right.
With anything, I always say stay true to yourself. If it looks cool, get it and read it and enjoy it and, talk about it. And that's really, I just wanted to say that out there, because I know a lot of people go to these new speculator sites and they go hunting for books and they don't even know what they're about. And, really, focus on what you like and stay true to yourself. And, I think that's just something I wanted to say. So that's it.
So that he's even giving out advice. I'm not going to do that.
It must be I woke up on the right side of the bed, I guess. I don't know.
You've had a pretty big day. You should be in a good mood.
Yes. Today has been a good day. So I'm excited.
If I was a better editor, this is where I'd drop in that Ice Cube song now, but I don't really
drop it.
I don't really edit, so. Now, big question here. Once in future, is this going to be the next Walking Dead?
No.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Walking Dead is so a lot of people don't know how Walking Dead came about. And it's very interesting that I actually have insider knowledge on how this all happened. And one of my good friends, told me about, this situation that occurred. And essentially, Walking Dead was supposed to be a basic apocalyptic alien.
I've heard this story.
Kind of thing. And Robert Kirkman really pulled one over. And 100 issues into Walking Dead, the owners come to him and say, "Hey, when are the aliens going to come down?" And guess what? Haha, gotcha.
There's no aliens.
There's no aliens. So, Walking Dead had an amazing run. I don't see really any books out there that are going to turn into that.
Because that was kind of like a lightning in the bottle thing.
It really was. I mean, it's something that, we had the Resident Evil movies and all that, and we had the Day of the Dead, but we never had a streamlined, I say, realistic, apocalyptic movie, and TV show and comic book, all that followed almost a true North Compass guideline. They kind of followed each other, and they kind of played off each other. And it really was to Robert Kirkman's behest that he stood behind every aspect of it, and that's why I feel it was so successful, is because he would not sign off on things unless he really was 100% behind it. And so, long-winded story, Paul, but I will say, no, I do not believe this is going to be another Walking Dead.
Okay. I'm going to be interested to see what you do at some point give that designation to. Like, if there's going to be that book that you think is going to go that route.
I definitely I have that card in reserve in my back pocket. I have yet to really get excited to say this is it. The one book that I will say that I really am excited about, that there's two of them actually. So number one is Isola. Absolutely love Isola. It is a comic that is a mixture of Disney animation and bright colors and just old-time storytelling. So, definitely, if you're at a local comic shop, take a look up and look at Isola. Most of the covers have a really beautiful blue tiger on them, or almost like a silhouette kind of picture. So look up Isola. That's an also really great one. But Lion Forge puts out a comic called Battle Cats. And Battle Cats last year ran 5 issues, and then they went on hiatus, and then now they're on issue, I believe it's on 4 right now. And let me tell you, Battle Cats, if anyone grew up liking Lionel and the Sword of Power and Thundera and all that, and I mean, it is an awesome comic. The art is amazing, and it really, I mean, just Thundercats, ho, love it all the way. So Battle Cats is another one to look at.
Okay, and that just jogged my memory with something I just saw last week. What is Battle Pugs?
So Battle Pugs is looks like a one shot, and again, a lot of comic companies are kind of looking at what's hot. Like just today, they announced Spider-Ham is going to have his own run.
It's coming back.
Yeah,
that's
so
outstanding.
I mean, so we got Spider-Ham coming back, and he's going to have his own run and stuff. So they're taking stuff that's hot, and they're kind of just seeing if it's going to stick. I mean, pugs have been kind of popular as of late, and so, I mean, Battle Pugs, okay, cool, why not? I did not read it, I did not look at it, because it was kind of didn't get my interest, but, there are a lot of the Image, the Booms, the IDWs, the indies, if you will, they're throwing stuff out there just to see if it's going to gain traction, and they're going to go for it. One that came out about 4 months ago, actually about 3 months ago, was Canto, and Canto, and it's this little, like, almost robotic clock guy that just has these weird adventures, and it's very the color of the comic, just the word bubbles and whatnot, the penciling is very Castlevania-esque, and Canto does come out actually this week. There is today actually, yeah. I said
issue
this
4.
Week. Issue 4. So number 1 was hot because a lot of the number 1s got damaged. But again, today, that's another one that you might want to just pick up and look at. It's just kind of cool.
Very cool.
So,
all right. Any collections? You were looking over the new releases. Are there any collected editions that we ought to be looking at grabbing this week in the shop?
There was really only 2. There's a Hush collection. I mean, Batman Hush. I mean, hello. Phenomenal story. Just so awesome. Just really amazing art. That's out, and then of course there's Amazing Spider-Man Carnage, which is essentially the beginning of Cassidy and his role, which was essentially the Maximum Carnage comic line, that went through everything. They've put it together, and so that actually comes out today as well.
Outstanding. Any big news we should be touching on, other than the Spider-Ham that I didn't even know about? You do realize that gets added to Madison's list now, too, right?
Oh, yeah. That's going to be interesting. The Spider-Ham is one of those characters that it's just you look at and you smile. There are certain characters that you look at and you're just like, oh, but then, they'll say quirky things and whatnot, but, if they're just sitting there, they're like, oh, it's so cute, and then you see it say something off-Candice, you're like, whoa, hey, Spider-Ham, what's going on? The only thing that really I can touch on is a lot of big announcements for the Star Wars Black Series.
Outstanding.
That a lot of people... me being a big collector of the Black Series, they started announcing the Triple Force Friday, which is next month in October. And that's going to be, and they say it Triple Force Friday because it is The Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. It is the new Star Wars movie, which is
Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. And then you have the third one. Why am I going blank now?
Is that the Clone Wars coming back?
Yes, the Clone Wars, yes. So all that stuff coming out, so they're calling it Triple Force Friday. And that's also going to be the release of the PlayStation and Xbox game, which is going to be Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes.
So that's I
forgot about that.
That is all going to be. They're talking about all that, and they're getting the checklists and whatnot. So a lot of people, saw yesterday and today the San Diego Comic-Con, Boba Fett and Sith Trooper went live on Hasbro Toy Shop or Hasbro Pulse. Myself and maybe a million other close friends all tried to purchase. Unfortunately, I was not lucky enough to get one. Me and two of my close friends also, we all tried. We had the page refresh, and unfortunately we weren't able to get one. So the ones that were lucky, if you are listening, congratulations, my hat off to you for locking down an awesome San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. But in moving with that, the Sith Trooper is going to have 3 different packaging and options. So you have the San Diego Comic-Con, which is going to have all the extra weapons and the fancy packaging, and that was only available on either at San Diego or on the website. So if you didn't get that for, I believe it was $29.99, the next option is going to be either the white box day of release, which is going to be carried by, tentatively now, don't hold me to the coals on this one, but what they're saying is stores are going to have these available, and the day of releases are going to have a white box and a little kind of sticker on it. And then there's going to be the standard edition, which is available for pre-order right now on Amazon, at GameStop, Think Geek, so you can go and you can pre-order that. That's the standard, just $19.99, and the difference between the 3 is weapons.
Right, less accessories.
Exactly.
Kind of like what they did with Boba Fett when he first came into the Black Series.
Exactly, the same thing. Same thing what they did with Rex, from the HasCon. Which was in the blue packaging and the multiple weapons, and then they went and released them as standard. So, Hasbro is very notorious for doing that. Same figure. Different packaging and whatnot. So
you know what? I like that though, because usually they're like sought after characters.
Oh yeah.
So I like that we get a crack at a normal one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Thrawn last year. That was huge for me. And when they said he was going to be the San Diego exclusive, I was so pissed. But then I got lucky enough to find one. I saw one in the wild, and I grabbed a Thrawn.
And that was, that I like the figures that have like the backdrops and the accessories like that. Like that is just a cool figure to have that you can just have on the shelf. It's just sitting there, or if you want to open and play with it, you can open and play with it and display it. So
yeah, we call that displaying. We don't play with our toys.
I'm not going to say I don't play with my toys, but
I totally do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that's pretty much that's what I'm looking at that's hot right now is getting excited for Force Friday and seeing what they're coming up with. They also did release a whole bunch of new figures that are available. Again, it's a whole bunch of stuff like from the Mandalorian, from the movie, and all that. So there's going to be some really awesome figures.
Coming from that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big question here. Now, you said it's in October. Do they have the exact date for Force Friday?
I believe it is October 9th. Let me double
So like a month.
Almost exactly a month,
yeah.
Force Friday is... I want to say... I believe it was October 9th. But I'm going to Google it. We'll see while we're checking out stuff. But yeah, that's the cool thing is, Force Friday, what ends up happening is you have all of the major stores, the Walmart, the Target, they all get special things that, are sought after and, exclusive. So it really is exciting that, so many different shops, get involved with that. So it looks like October 4th, is going to be Triple Force Friday. So
outstanding. Yeah. The 9th is in the middle of a week.
Yeah, I kind of figured that.
That's all right. So are you going to be out hunting that day?
Oh, absolutely.
Is that going to be like a midnight release? Are they doing that again?
Yeah, so unfortunately, Toys R Us, RIP Toys R Us, I miss you. Toys R Us is no longer around, so what is essentially midnight release, you get together, me and a couple of good buddies, we either will meet at one place and then go out and, look, one heads down one aisle, one heads the other aisle, and we kind of see where things are, and we meet. We all know what we're looking for. So if one of us, gets there and say there's, 5 Mandalorians left and there's like 8 people, I know to grab one for me and one for my buddy Dylan. I'll grab it because I knew he wanted that. So it's always fun. The camaraderie there is to go out, the hunt, if you will. It's going to be exciting because Disney Store definitely, Target definitely, Walmart definitely, GameStop so far I do believe, and then. We'll see. There may be some other shops that get involved with it, but the main ones are going to be those. So
Gotcha. Now, are you guys considering splitting up instead of going to the same store?
Now, see, we, as much as it is fun to, go off, on your own and then guaranteed that you're going to get the stuff, the idea of going with someone and just standing in line and talking to them about it and getting exciting about it, and then, you celebrate their ups and downs. So you run down the aisle, you see the box, you get it, and you're like, yeah, we got it, and it's like, woohoo, and then if you go to a different shop and they run out, you jump in the car and you drive, say we're at the...
Hopefully you get to the next one before they run out.
Exactly, and I will tell you that it is pretty funny because in the last couple of years that I've done this, so the last year that Toys R Us was around, me and my good friend Dylan, we went and we stood in line at Toys R Us, and the door opened and everyone ran back and grabbed figures, put it in the cart, everything. And there were some people that grabbed more than others, and there was stuff that wasn't available, and so you got cashed out, you jumped in your car, and you went to the next one. And it's funny because you don't see a lot of people collecting toys at 12:15 in the morning.
Right.
So you have the stock people at Walmart and Target, and you see this group of people
just
running down, what do you have for Force Friday? So it's a fun experience. It's not unlike what people are doing right now down in Florida and California for the Smuggler's Run. It's a 3-hour line. You put me in line for 3 hours, I'm going to slightly lose my mind. But you put me in 3 hours and I can talk to someone and geek out with them, disappears. Time disappears. Just like we have right now. We're geeking out with all our people, talking about them, on the podcast.
Hell yes. While we're on the topic of figures, Marvel Legends.
Marvel Legends.
Yes.
They, I know you and I, am I allowed to say you and I?
We discuss it often, yes.
We talk a lot about it. We go hunting, and it's kind of crazy. They came out with the 80th anniversary, and as
a lot of stuff under the 80th banner.
Oh my God, so much stuff, and some really cool figures, and then some ones that are going to be, shelf warmers. But the weird thing about it is because the 80th wave was at least for Walmart, was a one-shotter, so a one delivery. It's not going to get restocked. Walmart's, and this is for all of our hunters out there, wink wink, Walmart's have already started clearancing the 80th and the double packs.
Really?
Yeah, the 80th, the Thor, the Iron Man, and the Captain America are at $15.
Really?
And the 2-pack, which had Lewis and the Ghost, Hela and Scourge, and there was another one that... it was the...
from Ragnarok.
For Ragnarok, yes.
Korg and the Grandmaster.
The Grandmaster, yeah. So those were marked down to $30.
Really?
Yeah, so they've already started marking them down, and the reason for that is that they're not getting any more of them. And so when Walmart's computers see that there's nothing else coming in, it triggers a clearance.
That's crazy.
So a lot of people are, if you haven't gotten them yet, go hunting for them. But it just, the figure waves have been, I tell you, I started collecting, I want to say about 4 or 5 years ago, and you got 2 waves a year if you were lucky. I mean, we're on almost 4 waves a year at this point coming out.
Right, and that's just mainline.
Yeah.
That's not all of this extra stuff.
No, so, I mean, it's really, I will tell you that one of the figures that just came out that we were talking about was the Captain America and with the Peggy Carter. I mean, that 2-pack, wow, they really did a great job. The art of it, the face sculpts, you have 2 different heads on it. You have a good shield that, which is kind of, it's just a bland shield, and it just shows you don't necessarily have to have that shield with him. You could just have Peggy and him just standing there, and the soft goods are just fantastic on it.
Really?
Just a fantastic detail, great articulation, as usual. It really looks like they took their time. The one that I'm really looking forward to getting, and I've been looking but haven't jumped on it, is him with the bike, because I think what would be really cool, now just spitballing this for you, you got Peggy, you get the bike, you get him, and you get the 3 of them just kind of sitting there like captain on the bike, and Peggy like holding the shield, like handing it off, like ready for war. I kind of like pose stuff like that. So kind of
it makes a nice display piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is in stock at our local Think Geek right now. I saw that the last time I was there.
Think Geek has really stepped up their game. I really am impressed with Think Geek. You go in if you want to pre-order something. You talk to them. And the staff really does a good job of trying to track things down for you if it's not right there. And the cool thing about ThinkGeek is that they can pull from GameStops.
Yes.
Because they are owned by GameStop. But just going to ThinkGeek, you don't have to deal with all the video game and tchotchke nonsense. I mean, you really can. And most of the people who work there are geeks like us.
Yes.
So it is kind of cool to let your freak flag fly. So, but definitely a shout out to ThinkGeek, and bravo for keeping this stuff in stock and taking care of us and our plastic crack habits.
And they've got some rarer figures like in abundance there. Like the last time I was in the mall shopping for my wife's birthday. Not at ThinkGeek, but I ended up there. They had 4 Mr. Sinisters on the shelf.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because before that, the only one I had seen is the one that I scored for you.
Yeah, and I looked forever for it, and I mean, it's neat that they are able to get those. And the other cool thing, like you were able to figure out, is when I saw the 2-pack there for that Hulk Wolverine, you called, and guess what? They held it for you.
Yeah.
And you went there and picked it up. So they really get multiple waves in. So it's not just a wham bam thank you ma'am, here's one line and that's it. They're really restocking and getting them in to fulfill that completionist in every one of us.
Yeah.
So.
Got to get them all.
Yeah.
Whoops. Those are headphones falling on the ground. My bad. So you've got the Alex Ross Captain America.
Yes.
Is that not the perfect Captain America figure?
They did. I mean, from the lizard skin shingles, the armor, the way it is set with the proportions. I feel like they really did a good job on this one. Because other Captain Americas, they've used just other torsos. And they've repainted them.
Right.
They've used other legs. But with this one, if you're lucky enough to get one that doesn't have a paint issue on it, because unfortunately a lot of them do have paint issues, and I think the reason for that is that they were behind the 8 ball getting the stuff out.
I believe it, because there's so much.
Absolutely. And you have a Captain America, and you have with his bike, you have a Captain America with Peggy, and then you have this Captain America. So they already were in the Captain America mood. So with this, they went far away from the norm and went toward the retro real Captain America.
Classic Captain America.
And just absolutely, the cool thing is that the head has the fins on it, and there's 2 different ones. There's the older style where they were tiny, and then there's the older newer, when he was with the Avengers, which has the longer, if you little.
Okay, so that was the difference, because I was sitting there looking at them. I'm like, I didn't notice the wings on his head were.
Yeah, it's
bigger.
just essentially just the length and size of it.
Interesting.
And, yeah. So, but definitely a great figure to get. Very detailed. Normal articulation as the other 80th ones. You have the shield. You have the shield gimmick with the hand, with the arm, which is kind of cool. I didn't do that on mine because I just feel like there's something about Captain America that you just get him standing upright and just looking cool, and he doesn't have to do anything.
Right. Yeah. No. I'm gonna have more of like a standing around Avengers. Is basically what it is.
Yep.
And did you see the news that broke today that it looks like we're getting a Black Widow wave?
Oh no, I did not. That's gonna be interesting.
It got discovered in one of the computer systems.
Okay.
And so, I mean, most likely half of it's gonna at least be movie related figures.
I'd assume so. Yeah.
So does that mean we're gonna get a David Harbour Red Guardian?
I don't know. I mean, it's to me. I really think that we need a really good Hawkeye figure again.
Yes.
I mean, just
not Ronin, Hawkeye.
And a Hawkeye, not the retro with the purple mask that they did, with the retro wave, and the one that we did, before that. But I mean, just a more modernized Hawkeye, that you can just have. Mm-hmm. That is not Ronin. It's not a cheap, Jerry Reiner, right?
Jeremy,
kind of knockoff,
yeah.
But just a good one. And they almost did that in. There was a 3-pack that came out at Toys R Us. Many moons ago, which was it had a Sam Wilson Captain America,
yes,
a Vision, and then a Hawkeye,
and it was Kate Bishop.
Yes, yeah, and they did a good job, I think, on that one, but then they just kind of that was it,
right. So basically, you're wish listing for a Matt Fraction era Hawkeye.
Yeah,
ideally. That would be pretty cool because they did one of them back when it was Return of Marvel Legends.
Yes.
And if I remember correctly, they gave him like bodybuilder physique.
It was completely disproportionate. Yeah.
So, that's one they definitely need to redo.
Yeah. And then, if they did, we have a couple X-Men where you have Black Widow and Wolverine and Captain America, and that X, there's comics that have that. That they could do another. They've done so many Wolverines. We don't need another Wolverine, but I mean, ideally, what I would love for Marvel to do, and if they've already got this plan, they've got this plan. But there are some good figures out there, some good characters, good characters that really deserve a figure.
Right.
We don't need another Iron Man. We don't need another Wolverine. I mean, do a real Sinister Six, and which they did, in a package.
I remember that,
and that was cool. But there's a lot of figures and characters that we have that we never asked for that are just there, like Living Laser, or Nighthawk. I never even heard of Nighthawk until I looked it up. I mean, why did we get a figure out of that?
And here's my question. I mean, is that going to lead into more Squadron Supreme characters? Because I mean, nobody's asking for those.
No, not at all. And I mean, I see we have some X-Force stuff coming out. We have some X-Factor stuff, which is cool. But I really would like them to complete. With X-Men, make sure there is an X-Men figure of each generation, if you will. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, a older Cyclops, a kind of newer Cyclops, the Jim Lee. They have the Jim Lee Cyclops out already.
Yeah.
So do something like that. So do something where you can have your groups together and you can have them pose together. So make sure that we're completing our groups and our interactions within the MCU as opposed to just throwing these outliers out there. Mm-hmm. But one thing I'd really like to see is the Moon Knight character came out and it was cool, but there are other characters that you can do more with and they can explore. So, for instance, like, they're doing a Cosmic Ghost Rider coming out.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be neat.
Yeah, it looks cool.
It looks cool, but, I mean, are you going to pay $40 for him on this plastic bike? I think what they need to do is they need to, when they have those packages like that, release the figure itself separately so you can take that. Because not everyone has room for the bike and that.
Right, and that, from what I saw, that one looks like that's going to be pretty sizable.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And, I mean, same thing that happened with Logan and his bike, and then Black Widow and her Ducati.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool that they had it, but, I mean, you set it up together, and it takes up, 8 inches, front to back, whereas you say a single figure is maybe an inch,
right.
And so there's room for 4 other ones around it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
in some characters, I can see where it's necessary.
Yeah.
With Ghost Rider, you kind of got to
have the bike.
Yeah. But I mean, again, we've got 4 million Wolverines and Logans. We didn't really need one of him with a bike.
No.
Same with Black Widow. She's not that tied to a vehicle.
No.
I mean, now if you're going to go that route, I say we do Punisher in his battle van.
That'd be awesome.
But again, where are you going to store that?
Yeah, I mean, and what's the price point going to be on that too?
Yeah, or like the Blackbird. But again, that's you can't feasibly. I don't think
that would be a Hasbro. If you're listening, that would be a HasLab kind of thing where you would go through and get people to, pay money. But again, to get a Blackbird the size that would hold 6 inch. I mean, we're looking at the table we're on right now is 6
feet.
6 feet. We're looking at a 6 foot table at least.
Yeah.
I mean, a 6 foot Blackbird.
Yeah, we're talking like the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier.
Oh yeah,
that's what you would have to do. Yeah, that's what it was.
I had that. Did you have that?
No, I was poor.
Oh, stop!
I didn't get any of that.
I got
stuff
that. I got mine. I got it. I didn't get it new. I got it at a garage sale.
That's
I set it up on my dad's pool table.
Nice.
And he came home from work. And side story, guys. He came home from work and he was inviting his buddies over to play pool. Well, I had the flag set up on it.
Yeah.
And he's like, he comes downstairs and goes, "What the?" And I'm like, "I'm playing," and he's like, "Well, where are we gonna put that?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So
figure it out.
we had to move it, and so I ended up getting half of his office space. So, but
outstanding.
Anyway, I digress. So, what else we got going on?
Other than that, we had this week's hot books, but I think you already went over those.
Yeah.
Other than that, is what are you reading? Out of this week's pull list, what is the one that you're after? Mine's going to be kind of obvious if anybody's listened to me talk before.
No. I wouldn't think there's possible annual coming out that you might be reading. I again am going to look at the absolute Carnage. I really want to see where they're going to go with Deadpool. And I mean, the first one wasn't super great, but the idea behind it, I mean, there were so many, there were 5 of them, different symbiotes that bonded with him that did different things. So I'm curious to see if maybe he gets a piece of it and he turns into a symbiote again, or changes, But more importantly, I mean, Ghost Rider, essentially, another one with that Ghost Rider, he gets his chain wrapped around, Carnage's neck, and I mean, he essentially can send his soul away, and what do you have left is an alien symbiote with a husk. So
yeah,
where we're going to see what's going to happen there. So I'm on the absolute Carnage line to really see what's going to transpire out of that.
Outstanding. And like you said, it goes without saying, the one that I'm going to be grabbing for myself this week is Moon Knight Annual 1, which is a part of Acts of Evil, which I guess is an updated version of the X of Vengeance crossover from the 80s, 90s. And I guess we're going to get Moon Knight taking on Kang the Conqueror.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, Moon Knight has always intrigued me. He's like a Batman / mythic kind of he's just really, he's so underrated. I mean, and he's a great detective, and I really want to see them do something cool with Moon Knight. And I know they're talking about the movie and everything. I just hope I hope they take the time to get with the focus groups and to kind of just make it what it deserves to be. So that's definitely, I'm probably going to pick that up to take a look at it as well. I'm really excited about that. On DC's side, though, I did forget to mention this. DC has a really cool one coming out called Gotham City Monsters. Local guy Steve Orlando.
Oh, nice.
He's working on it, and we had the storyline with Leviathan in the past couple weeks, and Leviathan has completely dismantled the shade industry, and you have Frankenstein heading to Gotham City, and he's looking to recruit Killer Croc, Lady Clayface, Orca, Vampire Andrew Bennett, but even those creatures have to be wary of Frankenstein and what he's trying to do for him. So it's a bad guy jambalaya altogether. But again, with Steve on it and the others behind it, I think it might be a good something to take a look at. Maybe pick up, because again, not going to be a long storyline, but just something kind of cool where when the bad guys get together, who has more fun than bad guys.
Right.
Yeah. So, but that's part of it.
All right. Any parting shots before we go?
That's pretty much it. Really want to again say thank you to Think Geek for taking care of all of us and our plastic crack friends out there, and been doing a lot of shopping, and if you're in needs of boards and bags and all that, Collectibles Galore, Mike Tompkins, definitely shout out to him. He's been a great source of information in Syracuse and in the industry, and great little shop right in North Syracuse, and just a shout out to him as well.
Oh yeah, he's always got great stories.
Always,
too.
And he's so willing to take the time to talk to you and just make you feel welcome, and just a big shout out to him. So thank you for being true to the industry, Mike.
Outstanding. All right, that's going to do it for us this time, guys, gals, everybody, people. Tune back in next week. We'll be back Wednesday morning to talk over all the new books. Plus, we're going to do a review of Sons of Chaos by IDW.
I'm excited for that one.
Me too. That looks like a really good book.
It really
like
does.
You kill a toddler with that thing. All right. We'll see you next week, guys.
Cheers, all.
This has been a GeekPod Network production. Show notes and links to our social media can be found on our webpage, www.geekpod.com. That's G33kpod.com. Want to help us out? Please rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. Reviews really help keep us on the charts. Thanks, guys, and see you next time.